Next up, ladies and gentlemen, are two very special people who have got together to co-author a book with the title Managing Yahoos. These two people are Miss Angela YAP and Mr. Ritchie Ramesh. Angela YAP was an award-winning social entrepreneur, author, columnist, ghostwriter, and performance coach, while Ritchie Ramesh is the founder of Avec Communications with 20 years of experience in entertainment, advertising, public relations, and the corporate sector. At age 22, Angela was the youngest to be elected to the Board of Governors for Amnesty International Malaysia, while Ritchie Ramesh has managed the profile of many luminaries, one of whom was the late Datuk Sudirman Haji Arshad. Angela has been invited and has accepted appointments as an intellectual philanthropist and industry advisor from universities. She has worked at the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and is co-author of Cities, Citizens and Civilizations, and Answering is an Art. Previously a strategist with a Big Four firm, she holds a Bachelor of Science in Economics, London School of Economics. She is the founder of Akasaa, a social enterprise. Ritchie Ramesh's creative mind has also led to the authoring of many great books, among others, Managing Yahoos, True Accounts of Unscrupulous Conduct and the Nobodies Who Change Things, and Spirit of Borneo, Martin and Osa Johnson's Journey, 1920 and 1935, a high-end limited edition coffee table book which was presented as a gift to dignitaries such as the US President Barack H. Obama in June 2011, and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge by the Chief Minister of Sabah in September 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome them both.
Afternoon, everyone. Although it's a duo here, the one who does the talking is me, but he's the one with the brains. I look better in a skirt, which is why I'm not wearing one today, because you might distract you from him. But this is my first time in Ipoh having an event for authors. It's wonderful to be invited to Sharpened. We're both very happy to be here. It was a lovely drive. Thank you to Pak Peter, May, Shamini for organizing everything, and welcome to your new home. It's absolutely lovely. It's good that we've had a lot of thoughts, especially with people talking about being writers or specifically not being writers. I think generally it's just a label, and it's just easier for people to identify. My objective, and Ritchie's as well, when we started in this, we didn't go the conventional route of being authors and then being in the publishing. We didn't have that privilege. We came from very different backgrounds. So when we started off, it was essentially because we just enjoyed doing something very creative. It allowed us to express, and we happened to have very good people with good ideas and good projects. Hey, I've got these sets of photos that talk about 1920s, and we decided, let's do something about it. He's taken years to develop books. So it's not a 1 year, 2 year, our longest one has been, and is still ongoing, a 12-year project, a research project into the late Tan Sri Yusufi Abdul Kadir, whom you might remember to be a very brilliant legal mind, and his father and his father's father. So it's been a research into the Abdul Kadir family, a very forgotten part of Malaysian history, which we've been trying to revive. So books don't happen overnight. Being called a writer is something of, in my opinion, which I think he also agrees, it's just a label. It makes it identifiable to you. It makes you commercially viable. And that's one part of being in publishing or being a writer that no one really talks about. there is a dark side to the publishing world. It is extremely elitist. There's a lot of egomaniacs out there. It's true. There's very little sharing that goes about. Now, I'll tell you the history behind this, since Luke also mentioned something very, very pertinent, which is, I'm a nobody. And that's exactly what we got when we started out. If you look here, the title is Managing Yahoos, and you'll see that the subtitle is True Accounts of Unscrupulous Conduct and the Nobodies Who Change Things. There's a reason why the Nobodies is there. It was added because when this manuscript was complete, we were looking for a publisher. We met a publisher and also a literary agent. And she took a look, she said, this is good, but no one wants to read it because you're a nobody. And those are the exact words. No gloss, no varnish. You're an absolute nobody. But I've got a friend who's a professor somewhere. Why don't you put his name on the book and it'll sell? And it's true, he was at the table. We were both there, we just kept quiet. But it was very, it is an indication on the mentality of not just agents or publishers or writers, but of an entire industry that seriously needs an overhaul. Your value systems are just so skewed. It's totally about numbers today, about making it, breaking even. It's not even sometimes about whether it's a good piece of work. So what we've done today with our little book is to talk about these things, where we're going, where society's headed, and in a very simple way. We didn't want to make it jargon-filled. We wanted it to be very simply understood, to be used as a tool to change the way people think. And that's a very important part of why we publish. If it's not worth the paper that's printed on, why are you actually putting it out there? The only reason is you're cutting down trees. So there has to be a greater reason of why we write and why we publish. And we're out to change that. We're very small. It's basically him and I and a couple of other renegades who take on things that no one else wants. And we just signed on another chef who herself, when she was trying to pitch for another creative work, was also told exactly the same thing. You're an absolute nobody. Why don't you just give me your idea and I'll bring somebody in there to execute it? And she wasn't even getting paid for the idea, which in the sense of intellectual property, she should be. But if you're not savvy enough, you haven't been in the industry, you don't know that you should be. And creative ideas are the bedrock to what makes something work or not. You have a lot of books out there that are really badly written but sell. Really. So there is, it's not as simple as whether you're a good writer. It's about how you're positioned, it's about branding, it's about marketing, and there's an entire machinery out there that supports it. And then there are people like us who don't talk about that, but we talk about, is there merit in what you present? Is there a reason people should be reading this? Is there a reason that it should be put into print? That's why we're here. And there's an entire big underground of collectives that don't get that voice. We don't get it in the media, we don't get it anywhere, but we try very, very hard. And it is our job also to support it and to make sure that the good work goes on. One of the few things he and I have been doing over the past few years has been championing people who the industry has called nobodies. Because, and you'd be surprised how many people have had that exact word, not even a variation of the word. I went to the National Book Council, and the number 2 guy there who's the deputy, he's a young, really young, brilliant guy called Kenneth. And he said, you know, that's exactly what happened to me. I went to so-and-so, and he told me, you're nobody. Why would anyone publish your book? And today he's number 2 in the council, so there, take that. You know? And you want those success stories to come out because it gives inspiration to people to please come out, put out your work, and it doesn't matter. Today with the entire, I think the whole digital landscape has changed. Talk to people who know how to market. Everyone can get like Luke. He's put a book out there and he says, I don't really care whether anyone likes it, but I'm going to get it out there. And that's true. Why should you care? We've democratized the entire landscape of publishing. The only difference is whether you know how to do it right, whether you can make money at the end of the day. And then our idea has always been to put the money back into the arts. Because if we don't support the arts, if you keep waiting for the government, you keep waiting for some big politician to do something, it's going to take a very long time. And we've gone through that process. Where we can help, we'll be most happy to assist. That's why we're here. There has to be a greater solidarity among writers, and that's why we want to attend things like this. We want to get out there this year to talk to people. So you may know somebody who's got this idea at the back of the head. You talk to someone and they clarify it, it becomes a little more crystallized, and they start working a manuscript. That's how this happened. That's how our other book, Dining with Dragons, happened. Somebody put us through to someone else, and it's always been a word of mouth. So the little collectives that happen because of these engagements, small little things happening in pockets of society, make the biggest difference. I don't think I have no aversion to being labeled. The good labels, the bad labels, no problem. You can call me a writer, you can call me a publisher, you can call me anything you want, as long as I achieve the objective of being able to get that foothold and then using it to climb up. And I realized, we both realized that the only way you can open the doors for others is if you yourself have that foothold. Otherwise, you're fighting against a very big machinery, and that is the reality of publishing. It's not all nice and dandy, but I think writers also need to understand that you can make a career out of writing, but you've got to diversify your skills. And you've got to also be willing to do things you don't want to do, which is haul books. It's not all glamorous. I went on a UK book tour and I was hauling books. I was practically the coolie on top of everything else. But that's what you do because you believe in the work that you do. There is the nice, glamorous side, but there is also the side where you really sweat blood to get people to read what you write. But end of the day, it's about word of mouth. So today I've come here and I see Gary and I've met Pauline, /Nitya/Shalvinder, and I've met Luke. And we're going to go back to here and start talking about people and what you do here in Ipoh. It is a collective. What we're trying to build is that. Why the title of this book is Managing Yahoos is not the company. A lot of people think it's a tech book, but it goes back to the origins of the word, and the earliest reference to Yahoos in English literature would be in Robinson Crusoe. And I'm going to read to you what the exact definition of a Yahoo is, which is right at the bottom of this book. A Yahoo is a boorish, crass, or stupid person, also known as airhead, bird brain, bonehead, chowderhead, a cretin, a clot, a dim bulb, a dimwit, a dodo, donkey, doofus, dum-dum, goes on, and a nincompoop. But it also has a second definition, which is it's an expression of joy or victory. And when we talk about the history of how we came up with this title, it is the Robinson Crusoe's Yahoo versus was that Bobby Raj Kapoor movie where he's just had this lovely time getting a response from love his life, and he goes Yahoo! And it's that kind of contrast that we reflect in the book. How do you manage in a society that's just got everything kind of wrong? The values are wrong, and we've forgotten the important things in life. How do you look at things? Because there's so much spin, there's so much misinformation being fed out there. How do you break that chain? And you break it by having works like these, works like his, works like hers, people like Gary, who want and have something different to say. And I'm going to read to you one of the last pieces. These are all a collection of very, very short pieces in very simple English. And it ends with how are we going to manage ourselves as we move forward? Does our system allow for everyone to live healthy lives? Has the system provided for citizens? Is there justice for all men? Do our policies fulfill both spirit and letter of the law? Have we weeded out inequality? Do we have control over ourselves, our desires, egos, ambitions, or have we spun out of control? It is a daunting task, figuring a way out of this mess that is the human gene pool. The battle of good versus evil is littered with Pyrrhic victories, triumphs obtained at such devastating cost that in the end, it is tantamount to a loss. The Bhagavad Gita describes the epic war that pits good against evil. The upright warrior Arjuna, upon realizing that the enemy comprises of family and friends, hesitates to engage in battle. In this moment of doubt, Lord Krishna the Preserver appears and exhorts our hero to follow the path of selfless action. You are merely an instrument. Do your duty, don't worry about the results. Integrity isn't a theoretical concept, it is a living philosophy. It gains fresh breath every time we weigh things to make informed decisions and dies a little whenever we compromise. Yet we have all compromised, one time or another. Don't consider what integrity is. Be the integrity. The world is within, and the biggest challenge is to manage ourselves. We thank one and all for supporting our cause. May truth illuminate your journey through the maze of life. Or as Yoda says, may the force be with you. Thank you.